Dr. David Martin Lloyd-Jones, in one of his sermons on Jacob wrestling with God, has a fascinating spot where he said, if I remember correctly, he cast the sermon like this: how do you know you've had an encounter with God? You limp. And then he says he remembers when he was a young man in Wales, as a new minister, being around a bunch of older ministers. And the older ministers were talking about a young guy who had tremendous preaching gifts. And he was taking Wales by storm. And everybody was excited. They were saying, man, to have a great young preacher of the gospel like this, people are flocking to hear him. It might be the harbinger of a revival. You know, God might really mightily use them. And then Lloyd-Jones says, one of the older ministers said, well, yes, let's pray for him. But I just want you to know, I don't think he's been humbled yet. And Dr. Lloyd-Jones, to his surprise, suddenly all the older ministers started shaking their heads. And Lloyd-Jones remembers it so vividly because he actually quoted it in Welsh. He says, I don't think he's been humbled yet. And he repeated what was said in Welsh. And it just hit him that all the ministers realized that unless something comes into your life that breaks you of your self-righteousness and pride, you may think you believe you're a sinner saved by grace, but you're not. You don't really believe it. You may say you're a sinner saved by grace, but you don't believe it in the depths of your being. And as a result, you are not a sign of the gospel. The gospel hasn't really formed you deep down inside. You're not a strength out of weakness person. You just aren't. He will bring you down if he's going to use you.